Welcome to the fifth section of this course, Continuous Feedback. In this section, we are going to integrate Jenkins with Git SCM, give an introduction to a Java web project, then configure our Java project to build using upstream and downstream projects, and finally, visualizing the status of the builds. This is the first video of this section, Working with Git SCM. In this video, we are going to create a Git repository and then integrate Github with Jenkins. Let's get started with GitHub. If you don't have a GitHub account, you can easily create it accessing github.com. As I have already an account created, I will just sign in with the effective Jenkins account. Okay, I don't have any project yet, so let's start by creating a new project. If you have your project, you can use this one. My awesome project. Let me just initialize this repository with a README file, and also I will create a license here, for example, Apache. And then let's create this repository. Great, I have a new repository. But before I integrate it with Jenkins, let me commit something here so then we can be sure that we can commit in this repository. So let's clone this repository. Okay. And I will create here a local folder. And now let's clone this repository. Okay. Everything's fine. And here we have the repository. Okay, exactly with the two files that we have created, license and readme. So let's create a shell script with our classical Hello Jenkins message. Now let me edit the file. And here we can add just an echo message. Let's save. Let me just add the permission to run this script. And now let's test our script. Okay, so it's working. The first thing that we need to do is to commit this file. And now we have this message. So why am I getting this message? Because that's the first time that I'm using a Git repository in this machine. So one thing that we need to do is to configure the username and the email of the author of these commits. So then on GitHub, we can quickly see who changed what in which commit. Let's do that by editing the global configuration. Okay, now we can save. And now we can fix the identity of our last commit. We can do that by simply amending the commit author to that. Now we are simply amending this commit. Okay, and if we check here, now we can see that the author of this commit is effective Jenkins. The first commit was created by GitHub when we have initialized our repository. So that's it. Okay, now let's push our changes to the remote repository. Okay, now our change should be in the remote repository. As you could see, at the first time, GitHub will request you to type your username and password. In this case, it was requested because we are using HTTPS protocol. If we were using SSH, then we should have created an SSH key, similarly what we have in the beginning of this course when we have created the Jenkins user into the Jenkins server. But for now, HTTPS is enough for us. So let's check on GitHub if our changes are there. Okay, let me refresh the repository. And here we have our first commit of say hello and our script here. Let's check the contents. Okay, that's nice. Now we can start integrating Jenkins with this repository. Similarly on what we did locally, let's first clone the repository. And now let's go to Jenkins. Let's create a new job. Let's select Freestyle Project. And OK. Okay, now we can go to the source code management section. And here we can choose Git. Let's paste here the repository URL. And in this case, we are just cloning the repository, so we don't need a credentials at this point. There are different options here, but for now we just need the default one. Let's save, and let's fire up a new build. Okay, let's check the progress. And from the console output, we can see that this repository has been cloned. Under the hoods, Jenkins will fetch the repository and point to the default branch. In this case, our default branch is master. So you can see that this repository has been cloned. It's referencing to the latest commit at the master branch. Let's quickly check it on GitHub. If we have the same hash ID, and we can see that the commit ID is the same. So we're good to go. Now that we have integrated GitHub with Jenkins, let's try to run our script in this job. So let's configure this job and add a new build step. And let's add our say hello script. Let's save and then trigger a new build. Now in the new build, let's quickly check here the console output again. When we have executed our script, we have the output, hello Jenkins from GitHub. Now let's suppose that you would like to always build from a specific branch. To do that, let's first create a new branch and then let's change this configuration to reference to the specific branch. So let me come back to the terminal. And now let's create a new branch. And now let's change our script. And now let me add a new message here. Let's save. And now let's commit. It's committed. And now let's push to our specific branch. As you can see, at the second time, Git will not request you to type your username and password from GitHub. So now we have our new branch created. Let's go to Jenkins and let's change our project. And here, initially we just used the master branch. In this case, I would like to always build from our feature branch. So we can simply add here the feature branch. Let's save and build it again. We have a new build, and now let's check the console output. Okay, that's great. So Here we have Hello Jenkins from GitHub, and here I'm using our new feature branch. Also, you can notice that we have here our commit message, and under the hood, Jenkins is checking out to the specific feature branch as we have configured. Another interesting part of integrating Git and Jenkins is that on every build, you can see the Git build data. Is that we have the complete data regarding what is the commit ID and what is the branch that we are building from. In the next video, Introduction to a Java Web Project.